66 provinces with components at high risk to flash floods and flooding. Of course, we only have 80 provinces, so that practically says the entire country is at risk. Now, there are long-term solutions necessary, like massive reforestation, but at the present time, the current budget contains only items for about 80,000 hectares of millions that have to be replanted. There are various engineering works that have to be done, both social and physical engineering, but all of this will have to take time. We are in the process of, I thought I finished my time. Okay. If you have noticed that we have already corrected certain agencies in government. I did mention that most government agencies have been performing the roles. There are other agencies that have not been performing the roles. I point you in particular to weather. Our weather reports, to my mind, seem to be more accurate these days. They seem to be less reprints of previous weather predictions. And I don't know if you agree with me that our people are now better prepared to meet these disasters. And all it took was to replace one individual who believed he was God's gift to the Filipino people. Yeah. Okay. I think I've answered most of it. Okay. What is the vision? Let me try and articulate it even better. Yesterday I was in Davao, the day before I was in Cebu, and in both areas we had as a highlight the 4-piece program. And I'd rather not say what each of the P's mean, but the bottom line is government recognizes that there are about 4.6 million families below the poverty line. Okay. A lot of people will think of the 4.6 million primarily as burdens on society, but I look at them as fellow Filipinos, number one, who need a little helping hand, and who once given that helping hand, be it the conditional cash transfers and later on microfinancing, turn out to be very productive and very responsible members of society that really can redound to the benefit of the entire nation. When I was a senator, I had a bill that called for sharing of profits, sharing of increased profits, actually. ECOP at that time was not receptive to the idea, and the main issue was increased costs. And I asked them, should that be the way to view it? Because it only triggers in when there are increased profits. And our theory is the profits would not have emanated if there was not a good discourse between labor and management. Hence, the idea was, instead of a confrontational role, can it not be a cooperational role? And how does one encourage cooperation? By having them focus on the same thing. So I ask you, instead of looking, for instance, at labor as a cost, can we not see them as the potential market that once continues, that has, if it is enabled to increase its purchasing power, redounds to our being more competitive in the domestic sector, that leads us into being better competitors on the international field. So I guess the main issue is this. In our quest for change, change cannot be piecemeal and partial, cannot be just sectoral. It has to be total, or it doesn't exist in the long term. Is it not time that we start looking for this transformation in every aspect that we do have a role to play in, rather than be solely insular and concerned with pure parochial interests that really commits us to being mediocre players in the international field? We have such potentials in this country. Daily, we are bombarded by all of these items that remain on the potential basis. Issues in governance we will address. Let us remind everybody we have been in office less than 3 months. And a lot of hindrances to good governance have been placed in our way, the so-called landmines. We are addressing each one in turn. We are trying to simultaneously resolve all of the myriad issues that have been left on our table. And I think you are witnesses that we have really been making an impact. The private-public partnerships sound better than PPP. In Tagalog, it seems you're not only mute, but very mute. Yeah? PPP. I think we'll have to look for a new way to describe the relationship. But I'm really very so gung-ho about it. our government really is saddled with quite a huge amount of debt. This does not give us the ability to be able to undertake all of the necessary things that have to be done. Who does not want a comprehensive infrastructure network? Roads that service our agricultural sector and our manufacturing, what little there is that's left. Easy access to our tourist sites. I was told anecdotally of a person in London who wanted to visit the Philippines. And he wanted to go to Ifugao, went to the net to try and book himself the necessary airlines and hotels, only to find out that it was such a daunting prospect. Something as simple as a portal by our DOT, for instance, to facilitate that process is already, I understand, in the works. Bertie is here present. It takes about a day for a foreign tourist to eventually reach Boracay. And if you're given 7 days out of the year, one would be hard-pressed to give up 1 day just to be able to have 2 days or 3 days at most of Boracay, what Boracay has to offer. That is also being addressed, both by the public sector and the private sector. So, in essence, you're taking on a role of providing that which government is hard-pressed to put in a timely manner, redounds to growing our economy at the fastest pace possible. And you can count on your government, number one, to have always open ears to suggestions, and where they are found to be beneficial to most, if not all, then they will be carried out at the best possible time. The model that we look at as that shouldn't be followed is what happened to the MNTC project, which I understand was 10 years through the regulatory mill and 2 years to construct. We are hoping that we will be able to do all of the regulatory steps necessary within 6 months. So the whole focus now is always how, if this is a worthwhile project, how do we finish with all the requirements of law at the earliest possible time and redounds to the benefit of the people at the earliest possible moment. Okay. We do not fool ourselves to say that we will transform society in 6 years. No. We will not change it entirely, but we are hoping that the momentum and what people will expect as a minimum of governance will be at such a level that any administration subsequently will be hard-pressed to go on a different tack. Now, if they want to get elected, they will have to follow that which has already been done. To get that momentum going, we really do need your help. You can put in lack of cooperation, you can give us a lot of stumbling blocks. At the end of the day, who benefits from such an arrangement? Let us not fool ourselves. There are those who have been displaced by what we are trying to do in transforming our country. There are those who would want us to go back to the status quo of where there are very few people benefiting to the detriment of the entire nation. There are those who still want to get back into a situation where they are lords and masters of all of our faiths. And this is the point in time when we do have to decide. Do we play it safe? Do we not make sure that we don't have enemies one way or the other? This is where we decide where we go. We have such a golden opportunity. And I ask you, isn't it but right to do in our proper share? I think I've talked too much already. I am here to listen. Therefore, I will await your questions. I'll try to answer them as best as I can. And afterwards, I will, after fulfilling my role here, I have to attend to other matters of state. And primary for today, it's that report that has to be released soon. Okay, thank you. Good day.